Okay, so I'm going to attempt to help you better use your calendar in your classroom. Now that you've had 3 weeks of trying to implement and seeing what works and what doesn't, and you're starting to get a feel for how the process works, I want to go into a little more detail about how to use your calendar in your classroom and make the calendar work for you. Um, when I started, we didn't have the calendar, so going backwards was a little more difficult, but I think that you can really use it if you see the benefits of it. So, this is what my calendar looks like. The left-hand column is where I put my conventions and teaks that are necessarily not needed in the calendar, but are important and need to be covered throughout the 9 weeks. So I kind of make myself a checklist, so I make sure that I cover all of those teaks within that 9 weeks. So you have your blank calendar, and hopefully you have seen this form where it shows you the process of the PBL. So you have your entry and launch doc, no need to know process, pre-assessment, and all of that. So I'm going to try to take this step by step and kind of show you, explain to you why you do it, and then how you use it to your benefit and make sure your kids are really taking the learning or the information that you're giving them and taking it to the higher cognitive levels that we're looking for. So, this is an example that is in the drive. So you have your intro phase, launch, video clip, whatever it is that you are using to get your kids excited about the project that they are about to start. Some teachers will act something out, they'll dress up, you can show a video, just whatever you need to do to get your kids engaged and excited and wanting to know more about what they're doing. So you give them the entry doc and they do the no need to know process, which I'm going to video in my classroom for you. Then you can do a small group, no need to know, and then whole group. It's just really what works for you. With the younger grades, I think it's better to just really model for them that know and need to know process, at least for the first 9 to 18 weeks. I mean, really just with them, walk them through it, sentence by sentence in that entry doc, which I will video myself doing. Sometimes the driving question does not immediately come, so they have it here so you don't forget about it, but sometimes it'll take a couple days for the kids to kind of take all the information and really think about it and then give you a good driving question, because you want your kids to develop that driving question, and it should drive all of your instruction throughout the entire PBL, and it should be what those kids can tell you 30 years from now. What are they really taking from this? Then you have a pre-assessment. When you give this pre-assessment, it is so that you can see where your kids are and where they need to go, because you're going to have kids that are above level, on level, below level, and then you have your special ed kids, and you need to differentiate for all of those students. And I know that when you first hear about differentiation, it can be a little scary, but I'm going to kind of show you how to break that down and make that work in your classroom for you. So you have your pre-assessment, you have group contracts. So once you get through this project, you're going to have your first workshop. So right here, it says workshop. So your workshop is your teak, whatever your teak is. Now, as I've said before, the DOK at which your students are working very much depends on the level that they are at in that pre-assessment. Some of you are special ed kids. You're trying to get them on level or as close as possible. Or you may need to, they may have a modified curriculum, and therefore you're wanting them to master that modified curriculum. Your kids that are below level, you're trying to bring on level. Your kids that are on level, you want to stretch more. And those kids that are already above level, how are you going to stretch them even more as well? So, you have your workshop, expository and procedural texts. I always, with my students, start with short answer response, because if they cannot write a paragraph in a short answer response format, how are they going to write you a paper? So how do we create rich environments where all students learn at a high level? One useful tool is the Norman Web's Depth of Knowledge Levels, and it's very helpful. You have to remember that DOK is not the verb. So when you're looking at blooms, they have verbs. When you look at the TEKs, they're often written in a verb form, like what are the students expected to do? Well, they're going to analyze or they're going to summarize. But when you're looking at the DOK information, it's the cognitive process that is taking place in the student's mind for them to apply and create and develop new deliverables. So, level 1, recall and reproduction. Tasks at this level require recalls of facts or rote application of simple procedures. The task does not require any cognitive effort beyond remembering the right response or formula. Copying, computing, defining, and recognizing are typical level 1 tasks. So, do you have some students that need to do this? Yes. Not all of them need the recall and reproduction level very often. So, level 2, skills and concepts. So, at this level, a student must make some decisions about his or her approach. Tasks with more than one mental step, such as comparing, organizing, summarizing, predicting, and estimating, are usually level 2. Strategic thinking. At this level of complexity, students must use planning and evidence, and thinking is more abstract. A task with multiple valid responses where students must justify their choices would be level 3. Examples include solving non-routine problems, designing an experiment, and analyzing characteristics of a genre. Level 4 is extended thinking, and most kids can do this, but you've got to go through the processes and make sure that they can do the level 1, the level 2, the level 3, and that is what your pre-assessment is for. Level 4, extended thinking. So level 4 tasks require the most complex cognitive effort. Students synthesize information from multiple sources, often over an extended period of time, which would be your project, your 4 to 5 weeks, or transfer knowledge from one domain to solve problems in another, designing a survey and interpreting the results, analyzing multiple texts by the extract themes, or writing an original myth in an ancient style would all be examples of level 4. So the students are this has to be cross-curricular as well. You're to really stretch those kids. So as an English teacher, I need to wait for my social studies teacher or my science teacher or my math teacher to give me the content that they want to cover before I come in and say, okay, we're going to write this or we're going to do this. Whatever we're doing, I need to wait for the science or social studies or math teacher to give me their content because I have the most flexibility in what I am able to do. Okay, as far as rigor and depth of knowledge are concerned, I'm going to make a separate video for that information. But right now, I really want us to concentrate on making your calendar work in your classroom and really making sure that we're giving our kids enough time to practice and really apply the information that we're giving them before we're moving on. I do want to remind you that in order to hit that level 3 in your classrooms and see if your kids really understand, a great way to do that is to use this writing TEK. It's in every grade level. So writing responses to literary or expository text and provide evidence from the text to demonstrate understanding. This is really going to be beneficial in your classrooms as your students progress, and it's a great way to check for understanding and have them write and have them use that evidence from class and really prove their understanding and justify their reasoning. Typically what we do is we give a flip video. So you're going to introduce the information. Maybe it's a review for some kids that have already mastered this TEK. Maybe it's an introduction to kids who have never seen it before. Yes, they should have, but they haven't. When they come into class, they're going to complete an activity, okay? So this Wednesday night, they would have a flipped assignment. They take notes. They come into class with those notes, and you're going to give them something to do hands-on that covers the information that you are trying to teach. So that they can show, okay, we understand. Let's practice a little bit. Let us practice with the information that you're giving us before we try to create anything on our own. Okay, so the kids come in, you do your workshop, you facilitate, you walk around, you answer those questions that they should have written in their journal regarding whatever the flip video was about. Then you go into your design time. Now, when your kids are working in the design time, This is their chance to take whatever they did in that workshop and apply it to their project. Whatever they're doing in design time should directly go into that final product for the project. Some kids may not have the best understanding during this workshop. So then you can pull those small groups. Maybe it's one kid from this group and one kid from this group. And that way you can do some more intervention time while their group is working on that design time. And then you can send them back to assist their group members. During this design time is when you are able to really stretch their abilities. Now, during this workshop, if I know that I have 8 GT students that have already mastered this level, I can go ahead and have an activity ready for them to work on that's going to stretch them and show them what I'm expecting during their design time. You may need 2 days of design time to stretch them and help them and really let them. The point of the DOK is for them to have that cognitive process taking place within their minds. So they need some time to take all this information that you have given them and apply it and play with it and make their mistakes and learn from their mistakes and really stretch it and see what they can come up with. When we limit them to a small amount of design time,